Right, okay, so we're going to look at today converting between percentages and fractions. All right, so in terms of percentages and fractions, we know the percentage is out of 100, and if we're trying to convert that to a fraction, then you need to basically put the number over 100, okay, and simplify it. All right, so here we go. If you've got 83% and I want to change that to a fraction, I'm going to put that basically over 100. 83 over 100, and then try and see whether or not that simplifies or not. Well, that one doesn't, so I'm done. This one, however, 4% is going to be 4 over 100, which simplifies to 1 over 25, because they both divide by 4, and therefore you are done. All right, so percentage to fractions are relatively straightforward. Excuse me. You put it over 100, and then look to simplify it. Okay, so if you're not quite sure about simplifying fractions, there is a lesson on simplifying fractions, so please take a look at that one. Right, so fractions percentage, however, is a little bit more awkward, or can be a little bit more awkward, obviously depending on the fraction. Ideally, you want to get the denominator to be 100, okay, ideally. So if I've got 12 over 25 to a percent, all right, so if I can change that denominator to 100, which I can just times it by 4, then as long as I do the same to the top, then it's going to give me basically the number at the top. All right, so 12 divided by 25 times 100. So what they've done is they've converted this to actually using a decimal and times it by 100, which is this one. Not what I would do, but you can do it that way. And then I suppose 7 over 20, I suppose you can do 7 divided by 20 and then times by 100. I guess that's what they're doing, which is 35%. But I suppose what I was suggesting is this method over here, much more straightforward if you can get this denominator to be 100. All right, so this is about just doing typical division and times by 100. Right, so if you've got 12 over 25, so this is the one I was talking about, is you convert them to times them both by 4, which is going to give you 48 over 100, and therefore 48%. A much more straightforward approach to kind of doing it in this one, rather than actually literally doing the bus stop method and doing 7 divided by 20, and then having to times it by 100. All right, nothing wrong with this at all, but of course what you're actually doing when you do a 7 divided by 20 is you're getting a decimal, and then you're times it by 100. All right. Whereas this one, it's a little bit more savvy in terms of how you're kind of approaching it. It's about thinking the fact that your denominator needs to be 100 and obviously manipulating it. All right, so there are 2 different ways of doing it. I think this one, the right, is easiest, as long as you can get this number to 100. If not, then I suppose what you're going to be doing is relying on this method. But neither of these 2 numbers wouldn't have an issue doing this over here. All right, so if you want to practice, obviously go to maths-school.co.uk and see what the questions are like. Hopefully more than many are like this, but you might get the odd one like this where you have to do something a little bit different. All right, but thanks for visiting, and I'll see you soon.